Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the alternate marathon there, woman. I was in Lana's stream. I was trying to participate in points she was making, but I don't think she's paying attention to her chat room. Um, you know, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but it was almost as if she was arguing with herself and caught in some celestial loop of, uh, of self-argument. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be mean to her. I like her. She's cool. But yeah. It was at one time she had almost 2,000 people in there. I don't know where it is now, but yeah. But she's making points. She's sticking to the timeline like I do, and trying to make sense of the senseless, which we all try to do, right? And which I don't know. What up there, Miss Dakota? What up, people? Hi all, hi all, hi all, hi all. I know I'm in here another night. I think it's like almost this is either 2 or 3 nights in a row. For God's sakes. And we're broadcasting to you live from the top of Cock Tower in Beijing, China. And yeah, we're on 3 different platforms. We're completely, hang on, let me turn that, there we go. We're over on X, we're over on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. Quite the little spread of platforms there. Had a decent stream last night. I don't know what you guys thought of it if you're here listening to it. I still think it's I think last night's stream proved a couple of things. One is when people believe something, man, oh man, you just can't really get them. You can't dislodge them from that. And I've used religion as that example, but when people believe they can solve this crime with their cell phone, boy, oh boy, you can't show them the futility of that behavior. Oh, sorry. I'm drinking mug root beer. Root beer. Not alcohol. Not really an alcohol drinker. Never really liked alcohol. Never really cared for the taste. And I didn't really care for the effect. The physical effects of alcohol were never really appealing to me. And yeah. So I'm never really got into it. I'd rather smoke weed and not even that than forever. And then I chose the weed and the Coke over the alcohol back when I was young. But even if I had to do it all over again, I never really could tolerate what alcohol does to us. So, and I didn't really have any specific topic other than being an open panel. People want to jump up. There is a link, and the topic can be whatever you want it to be. It could be, ghosts. It could be, anything. Politics. It could be cooking. It could be sports. Whatever you want it to be. It could be Idaho4. It could be the Karen Reed. It could be the Delphi case. It could be no case at all. It could be your divorce standing, your divorce proceedings. It could be about your dog or your cat. Maybe some of you own monkeys. Maybe some of you are monkeys. I don't know. Bear with me. I've been trying to get a hold of my job foreman for 5 fucking hours, and now he decides to call. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. Well, on Lana's stream, we got Lana talking to herself, and on my stream, we got nobody talking to nobody. Holy shit. Yeah, she's in like someone needs to poke her in the rib. She's in like a loop, and she's like she's like what I do to Elon Musk's artificial intelligence grok. She's caught in a loop. I tried typing in cap letters over there trying to get her attention. I did notice though that if you reverse how her name is spelled, it's yeah, it's fucked up when you reverse how her name is spelled, but it is what it is. I'm just saying. I'm not saying she's an ass, but it's crazy. Lana ain't a Lana, but yeah, she's caught in a loop, and I don't know if she's still caught in a loop. But she might be caught in that loop. I get into that loop, that thinking loop like that. And yeah, but I'm not really on the internet around other people when I do it. And it's kind of embarrassing when you just get stuck in a loop like that, because you're really burning brain calories trying to make sense of the senseless. And she's focused on the same timeline that, as you guys notice, I've been pointing out for a little while here, that the 4:17 a.m. is the fucking bingo moment of everything. Bingo. Something happening. You know what I mean? Maybe those two girls went to a school. It's been like the schools we went through. I don't know. Maybe the two girls that survived just went to a special school. It's hard to tell. You never know. It could be. But, I honestly think, and the reason I keep pushing this 4:17 timeline is I think that we're missing a lot of data from 3:51 until 4:17. I think there is some shit going down. But even more importantly, if there's nothing happening, then that tells the story about 4:17 forward. It tells the whole story. It tells you that the activity began, and these women were there conversing about it. They were aware of it. They were talking about it. And that makes 4:17 an extremely important marker of time. If nothing was happening from 3:51 until 4:17, if there's no communications amongst the survivors or amongst the victims with any communication going on in the house, there's no noises being recorded on cameras, there's no nothing happening, and everything starts at around 4:17, then that tells you the thought exercise of trying to make sense of the fucking senseless. The report room, who's that? Della Davies, don't know who that is. Met with Aunt Taylor. There's also reports out there that Brian Koberger brought 16 lawsuits against the networks for defamation. And I don't see any evidence of that. It was something report. I forget the streamer that brought it up. And yet, we're not getting anywhere with walking in circles. It is kind of getting to be a topic that's boring in a way, folks. I mean, we're beating a dead horse. I see over on Facebook how they give paparazzi all this praise, and I just, yeah, is she still going there, Kara? Is she still like caught in that fucking thinking loop? I've been stuck in loops like that, but yeah, it's maddening, man. Especially when you don't realize you're doing it. And that's usually when you're not really broadcasting to the public. The public usually doesn't get to see that side of us. We're all fucked up. Originally, the killing. What time was it said originally the killing started? From 4 a.m. and they ended at 4:20. Yeah, she's been on there for 5 hours. She's really running on Duracells over there. Someone says she thinks she's having a nervous breakdown. No, I don't think it's a nervous breakdown. I tried to get her attention, but she's not paying attention to her chat room. At least she wasn't when I was in there. But you can agree, Duckman, and others that were in there, that she's paying attention to the timeline as I've got it laid out here. Not saying that she wasn't without me. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying it's no coincidence that Lana is stuck in an infinite loop like I've been stuck in an infinite loop, right? Yeah, I do look at my chat all the time. I try. I can't always, especially like when I got someone up on the panel. Well, I think it took 25 minutes. Based on what Ann Taylor said in court, that the dog started barking and didn't stop for up to 25 or more minutes from 4:17 on. So, yeah, she's doing it to herself, Carol. She's really doing it to herself, and she needs to snap out of it. Somebody needs to call her on the phone, or I don't know how to get in touch with her. I would. But if someone's got a way to call her, they need to call her and say, take a break and let's talk with the people in the chat room. Or, jump over into Sergeant Friday's panel. Show me some love. She's welcome to come over here. You guys see I always post invites for the panel. And then her and I could talk it through. I bet you her and I aren't that far apart as far as our analysis goes. And I think based on what you're witnessing over there, I see something in the documents too, and my brain isn't registering it, but it's registering it to some extent. But she's having a hard time understanding Bethany calling Dylan first, because she doesn't want to accept. Most of us don't want to take the position that those communications are done during the commission of the crime. That is, Duckman. That it instantly creates reasonable doubt. It also creates the potentiality for multiple perpetrators, which then means the jury can't convict him as the sole perpetrator of the crime. Yeah, see if you can get her attention, man. Yeah, and tell her, we can connect streams or something. She can connect her stream to my stream and mine to hers. And tell her I can shut up for as long as it takes to hear what she's got to say. You guys realize that when I've got a reasonable person to have a conversation with, I can banter back and forth. Delby was in here yesterday, but I think Delby, although I may have broken through a little bit on him, he's still convinced that solving the crime is the job of the YouTuber. Which is like, damn, I don't even know, man. How could that be the job of a YouTuber? But anyway, yeah. See if you can get Maddie, get her attention. Lana's the Ahmad's attention, and I respect what she's doing. I listen. I did everything she's doing with all these documents, with all these. I had a few thousand videos during the first Trump administration, breaking down the false allegations he was connected to Putin and the false allegations that Russia interfered in the election. That was never true. Every allegation made against Trump, within a month of the allegations, I had proof to show you that the allegations were real, but the perpetrators weren't Donald Trump or the people in the list of Russiagate. A lot of it connected to Hunter Biden. And there's evidence of this. I mean, I had it all documented. This ain't me making the assessment. This was documented fucking fact. And yet Americans were convinced Donald Trump was a Russian puppet. It's quite amazing how the media can tell you what to think and give you a context and you run with it. And you could see in here last night with Delby. I don't know where Delby or you guys get the idea that you're crime sleuths or that you're investigators or that you're going to solve this crime. I just don't understand that. If anything, you got to look at the case. And there's a case out of Florida that I've given people examples of numerous times where the police did absolutely everything as correct as fucking correct could be. Arrested the proper perpetrator, but they followed the procedures. They took certain steps. They collected the evidence in the order it's supposed to be collected. They filed for warrants. for the pickup truck, not for the fucking owner of it. And they then, with that warrant and subpoena to grab the truck, were able to find blood of the victim in the truck in areas and quantities that would suggest whoever was in that vehicle operating it did commit the crime. And because the person that owned it, they then subpoenaed that person. And they eventually connected the entire case to the perpetrator. And they did it in such a robustly amazing, straightforward manner that you got to say, wow, those cops are not trained in properly. Whoever trained those cops trained those guys perfectly. And they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bingo, and got their man. So when I say there's systemic corruption of the system, not every single agency, not every single police department has that systemic corruption in their training. And in the Idaho4 and the Karen Reed case and the Gilgo case and the Delphi case and probably cases we don't know about. Here, let me give you an example, folks. And this, if that Detective John was on, I'd like to rub his face in this for him trying to suggest that I don't like all cops. Yeah, Ann Teller, I think, is in some respects shaping up to be inadequate counsel. And I know that may not ring well with a lot of people, but anyway. But let me give you an example, folks. This is ironic in one hand. So Delby was in here saying how hard it is, or how people just don't want to do anything when it comes to where the real issues lie. And the issue isn't who killed these kids. It's how fucked up the investigation was. And it's so fucked up that we'll never know for sure, regardless of how Brian Koberger's trial turns out. Right? Now, contrast that with the Donna Eyes case. Most of you that have been around for a while remember Donna Eyes and how quick people were to attack the hospital, how quick they were to attack the police, and how quick they were to pay attention to the agents that are trained to do the right thing and protect society. And Donna Eyes disappeared. And they started blaming the cop. They started, oh, she shouldn't have dropped her off there. She shouldn't have done this. The hospital shouldn't have discharged her. And in the bottom line was, I stuck up for the cops. I stuck up for the hospital. I said, this is clearly somebody with a drug problem doing things drug addicts do, which probably will result in her being found dead. Oh, I'm the bad guy talking bad about the victim. This is what I mean. You guys, so many people out here are just so fucked up. How about the Kansas City 3? I said the same thing. The difference between the deaths are one of the fucking people stayed in the house. And they didn't die from hypothermia because whatever negative effect the fentanyl or whatever the fuck it was that knocked all three of them out, that effect that took 3 grown men and knocked them out, didn't kill the only guy that survived, not because he was the killer, you fucking morons, but because he passed out inside a heated fucking home. The other guys passed out outside in the cold. That's how fucking grown men freeze to death, god damn it. Right? And there's 2 guys out back frozen to death, and everybody wants to blame the biologist. Oh, he was a biologist working on AIDS and what? And the fucking streamers and the fucking audiences, you all went fucking batshit wild in those 2 cases. And you were also wildly wrong. That obvious observations made by myself and a few others, we were wrong. We were the bad guy. We were victim shaming. Oh my God. And we were not wrong. We were not victim shaming. We were absolutely fucking correct. Period. End of fucking story. Donna Eyes died because of Donna Eyes' drug usage and addiction. And it all came and coalesced on that particular night. And sadly, it cost her life. The Kansas City 3. 2 men died in the backyard and 1 man survived in the house because they all got together for the occasional hoorah, away from their wives and away from their other friends and family. And they partied, which they would do a few times a year. And they come across something in their drug they were unaware of. And that activity actually became the end of them. They did nothing they did nothing to one another, or nothing they wouldn't have been doing on and off for years. That night became the night of death. not because of any one of the three individuals, but because all three had that proclivity to get together every now and then and party balls to the wall. They ended up with bad shit, and whoever sold them that bad shit and whoever brought them that bad shit, if YouTubers and streamers had any fucking sense and would really try to pay attention only to the facts, follow the facts where they take you, and even if you end up wrong, being wrong means that those facts still play a role, and then would instantly understand what you're being shown. But no. Let's not talk about the two dead guys in the backyard having anything to do with their own death. No. You're fucking scumbag for doing that. Let's not blame Donna Eyes for Donna Eyes' death. No. Fuck no. Old Sarge is a scumbag for pointing that out. Don't bring up Dylan and Bethany. No. And now look. Look at the fucking shitstorm that the factual data is showing us about what these two young women did that night. Ooh. That fucking sergeant, that miserable fucking prick, tried to talk about this in July of 2023, and none of you fucking people were wanting to hear it. Now look. Oh, boy. That's what I mean. The facts will bring you to a place that gives you the capacity and the ability to see clearly. And the facts tell their own story. I'm not making anything up when I say the killings began at 4:17 a.m. And nobody can disprove that. You can argue with me all you want, but this happened at 3 o'clock and this happened at, I don't give a fuck. The only recorded data that's provable that something was happening was at 4:17 a.m. Period. End of story. I don't care what your fucking grub truck says or your fucking kids running down the fucking road. That's got nothing to do with the facts. This is a fact. Whether Brian killed these people or not, this is an irrefutable fact. Irrefutable. So I don't give a fuck about the Van Field, the fucking grub truck, the helicopters, the choppers, the fucking airplanes, the fucking cats, the dogs, the fucking car driving around, this truck, that noise, that bang, that boom, that fucking noise. None of it matters, man. And trying to make it fit is where people are making the mistake. And this is where a lot of your like everybody says they're critical thinkers, and you're not. If your critical thinking is connecting you to all these ancillary events outside of that home, and you're placing those ancillary events as part of the crime, that's not critical thinking. That's conspiracy theory, and we can all do that. But don't mistake that for critical thinking, because that's the last fucking thing it is. Critical thinking is talking about the critical issues that are there for you to discuss. That's it. What's critical? Data. What data is critically important? The available data. Whether it's accurate or not, that data is critically important because for both reasons. Its importance is paramount if it's wrong. It's paramount in telling a story. And it's critical if it's right, because then paramount in telling a story. I don't know, man. I don't think I can make it any more simpler than that. There's just no way to break it down into the simple stupid. It's the best I can do. And I'm pretty good at making difficult things simple. It's been like my superpower my whole life. Whether we're talking about fucking rocketry or jet engines or nuclear power or fucking rockets or fucking lawnmowers or transmissions or tools or fucking books or fucking speakers or... Come on. It's not, nothing in man's world is that fucking complicated. Yeah, I'm not trying to be Mr. Popular, but let me just say, for everybody that doesn't have a popular opinion of me, they have an opinion of me, and that matters. That makes me even more popular. I knew who Delby was. I know who he tracks with and what he and these other streamers are doing. I knew what was up with that, and I'm just not going to entertain the analysis of who did it. Because it leads us fucking nowhere, man. And when you start to now look like Lana, is Lana still in a loop? Has anybody gone over there? Has anybody gone over there and poked her in the ribs or try to tickle her or yell at her or nudge her? Has Lana snapped out of it yet? I don't have her stream up, just so you know. I don't. You guys, someone go over there and drop my link on her stream. She could join my stream, link her stream to mine. I'm not trying to get her followers, don't get me wrong. I have no interest in. If people want to join and subscribe, that's great. People want to hit like, that's great. If you want to hit don't like, that's great too. But I'll continue to stream on, right? Stream on, young man. She's still yapping about the car. Well, I've already shown you how the car doesn't have anything to do with this. Lana drones on. Seems busy about nothing. Poor Lana. I tried to get her attention. She's still in a loop. Yeah, we need to get Lana on what's a narcopath? What is I don't know what that is. A narcopath. I'm a narcissist to some level, right? That's right. I get a love for all of these titles because we're all a little bit of each of them. All of these titles we all have parts of in us, right? It's crazy. We live in the fucking most fabulous fucking time on Earth. And why is this the most fabulous time in the history of the world? Well, because we're alive to experience it. That's why. A narcissistic psychopath. Jesus. Miss Q, what is up with that? Let's not go attacking poor Lana that way. At the most, just reverse the spelling of her name and just call it out. Sometimes she's an ass. That's all. She's on the phone calls, timeline, and she's losing her mind on that. She's in a loop. Yeah, someone hit the play button and it won't shut down. Someone needs to snap her out of it, man. Do you think Kohlberg has already written a book in memoir form? I would bet my life he is maybe. Maybe he has. That would be a clever thing to do, and that may in fact be what he's done. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, like I said, I don't hate any of these streamers. I don't even know, man. You know, it's like someone going out in their backyard and digging for gold. And every day they're out there digging. You after a while, you get like, dude, there's no gold there. But they keep on digging. You can't say there's no gold here. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. Well, okay. And you just feel like grabbing them by the shirt collar and yanking them out of the fucking hole and telling them, cut it the fuck out, bro. And that's what I see all like these paparazzis and all of these fucking people that got it all figured out, know who did it. Yeah. They you know, the millions of fucking man hours. And I say that. So let's say you get 10,000 people in the stream every day, right? That's 300,000 people a month. In 3 months, that's almost 1 million fucking people. That's 1 million man hours for every hour they watched on that stream. And if in 30 days, it's 2 hours a day, that's 60. So just start adding up the man hours, okay? Yeah, I'm very curious to see who she names as multiple as alternate perpetrators. It's going to connect to the DNA samples. I think it's going to connect to the dead air time. Listen, at 4:17 p.m., that's the first outside indication that something was happening inside. But that doesn't mean that from 3:51 a.m. forward, there wasn't something happening inside, right? Now, I keep pointing out killings began at 4:17 because we have no data to suggest otherwise. But we do have a dead spot. We do have a dead spot from 3:51 when Dylan enters a new contact until the 4:17 disturbance is picked up on an outdoor cam. Well, I don't think Brian would be writing a book on the behalf of that he did it and he got away with it. Brian would be writing a book on the behalf of what they've done to him and how unjust it is. And how he's had to cope with daily life locked behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. That would be a very, very interesting book. That doesn't mean what? Your word, Sergeant Friday. What it doesn't mean is it doesn't mean the killing started at 4:17. They could have started at 10 after 4. They could have started at 7, like they claimed. The car parked at 4:07 and 40 seconds, and the crime started at 4:09. It could. That's still possible. But there's nothing to suggest that it happened that way other than them just saying that in a fucking piece of paper. Right? I don't know that Brian is suing anyone, William. I think what has to happen is people have to establish that to be a fact. And I don't think that there's any fact to support that he's suing anybody at this point. I mean, if he's found guilty, who's he going to sue? Yeah, Brian is on the spectrum. He's on level 1. And I'm pretty sure that's where I would be found, that he is on level 1. Or maybe not, but from when I was in the psychiatrist diagnosed me that way at 34. Yeah, we'll see. I agree with you there, Happy Hounds. The car waited. No one got in or out. The car just knew it was going down. Well, I guess, but you can't establish that as a truth. There's a lot of these guesses happening. That's what I mean. The presence of the car really means nothing. And even if let's take what let me put what Duckman said. So let's review what Duckman said. I don't know how long you've been in here, Duckman, but we can also establish that suspect vehicle 1 is unquestionably not Brian Koberger. Suspect vehicle 1 at 2:47 a.m. Something like that. When they said that suspect vehicle or Brian Koberger's phone was turned off, and suspect vehicle 1 was heading from Pullman to Washington, and the phone was turned off at 2:40 whatever a.m., right? That's not true. That particular car that they're tracking is not Brian Koberger's. Well, just follow around for a minute. Listen for a second, Duckman. The car that they tracked from WSU is not, and it's provably not, Brian Koberger's car. Because Brian Koberger's car maintained a network connection through a separate cellular tower heading south for 7 minutes beyond the time they claim he turned the phone off. Right? Okay, so the car that they're tracking can't be Brian. Therefore, the car that they're showing us all of these fucking data points on through video just can't be Brian. Even if he turned around and went in that direction, the problem the government has is the simple fact that the first vehicle you call suspect vehicle 1 as the vehicle that was involved in this crime, no matter where Brian drove, because that vehicle can't be Brian, you ascribe the crime to an individual that it couldn't be based on the movements of the vehicle you tracked. Your tracking might be 100% correct. I'll give them that. Let's accept the state's tracking of the car. But the error began when they started to track that car, because that's not Brian Koberger's car. Is that Duckman? Is fucking yeah, if you're Jeff H, just get out of here, man. Go somewhere else. Go open up your own stream. Go play with fucking 12 gauge. Get out of here, man. I have no interest in you fucking guys. None. Don't want you around. You're the worst society has to offer. You literally are. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you are, but if you are, man up and just get out. Okay? Because I ain't having any of them fucking jerk offs like that in here. No. Good news, folks. Wait, hang on. Let me see here. Hang on. Breaking news. Sergeant Friday's pool is almost completely full. Within the next few hours, it should pass the level required for the skimmer and for the filter and salt generator to be fired up. That's it for our breaking news. Puts the new liner in the pool. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling over here, man. We're like ready for swim season. Unfortunately, all it's done here for fucking months on end is rain. But let's not despair. Weather is weather. Yeah. So we have a complete the description in the PCA and their argument of how the crime took place and their argument of how they were able to identify Brian to begin with. That key piece of information of how they identified Brian from the onset by the location of his phone and his car, okay, is flawed, fatally flawed. It is fatally flawed. They tracked a white 4-door sedan that may in fact be a Hyundai Elantra between the fucking years of 11 to 16. They do track a Hyundai Elantra. I'll give them that. But a Hyundai Elantra that clearly could never belong to Brian Koberger. Ever. And because of that, the case is flawed. It's so flawed that it's almost sad. Yeah. This girl sending me a fucking picture of the fucking dinner she's getting eaten. I don't give a fuck what you're eating, honey. Let me turn my ringer off. Why do people do that? Like, I don't even know. You know. But anyway, where were we? I'm curious how you attach the liner to the pool sides, or is it detachable and you take it out? No, pool liner never comes out. Ever. You never take it out. And the pool liner just it's either held into a track. They call it a beaded liner that snaps into a track. There's that. Or there's a liner that just overhangs this pool wall, and then you clip it in place with these pieces of plastic that attach to the pool wall, and bingo, you're done. It's more work than you know. But it's not hard or crazy work. The state is very foolish. I agree with you. They should not. I don't think. Let's not get into to saying or even debating. She made the statement he was Jeff, and he came back and said he's not Jeff. So let's leave it at that. Yeah, so let's just let that go there, Miss Q. I did find some in another stream that's on my list, and I went and blocked them. Somebody was in here yesterday, Tamara 472002. You are not in my block list. You are not in my block list. So if anybody comes across Tamara 472002, that young woman is not blocked by me, and not in the stream's block list. So I don't know why she was in here last night saying she came in through Rumble. And that's just the way it is. Not blocked. I went to unblock, could not find the name, and so we're unblocked. What do we got over here in 32 views on X? And I know X is generally really hyper focused on politics, and I mean, and there definitely is a mutual respect for me and the people in the political fields. Although I think we come up agreeable on many issues, I think there's many issues we also disagree on. Gray Hughes arguing about the car, huh? Gray Hughes is just he's a money grubber, and he needs to get as many people as he can to pay attention to him so that he can sell his books and he can earn a living. It's never about whether he's right or wrong. Well, no water gets behind the liner, Happy Hounds. If water gets behind your liner, your pool is fucked. That means it's leaking. My liner it's got to be 15 years old, man. 15 to 17 years old, and over the winter it failed. It had small seepage for a couple of seasons, and I was able to find a few of the leaks and stop them, but over this past winter, the liner just failed, and all the water drained out of the fucking pool. So I don't know. Not much I can say about that. Block from arguing about the car. So, all right, Missy Q. If you don't argue with trolls or talk to trolls, then just ignore Duckman. You can ignore him from your own panel if you're on YouTube. You can highlight someone's name and just ignore him. I got blocked by a channel for asking them. Yeah, well, Kara, it's because these people are trying to solve the crime and they're convinced their analysis of the crime is accurate. Which is just as kind of. And look at, you can accuse me of the same thing. You can accuse me of the same thing, but I can show proof as to why I say 417 is when and my proof is unarguable. It ain't me summation of data. It's fact that the first indication from outside the home that something inside the home wasn't right began at 4:17 a.m. As did, arguably, Murphy barking his brains out begin at 4:17 a.m., which was picked up on a camera outside the home at the neighbors. From 4:17, when you go backwards to 3:51, The last notable moment where anybody did anything, which was Dylan adding a new contact to her phone from 3:51 until 4:17, it's dead, blank, nothing. We have nothing, no evidence, nothing from outside the home, nothing from inside the home of any disturbance, of any activity, of any communications by anybody to anyone from 3:51 until 4:17 a.m. Then the camera picks up the noises, and at 4:19, Bethany gets in touch with Dylan. So whatever happened at 4:17 was enough to alert Bethany in the basement, because her bedroom was arguably the bottom floor or the basement, right? The washing machines were down there. There was another bedroom down there. There was a storage down there. There was utility room down there and a bathroom down there. But that would be the first floor of the three floors. So at 4:19, whatever was happening in that home alerted Bethany. Absolutely, Kara. And that's exactly, and I do that and remind people of that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to duck out like Lana. I don't believe they were both in the house. Well, but you have nothing to support that, do you, Natalie? Nothing. You have nothing to support that conclusion. And so if that's your conclusion and you're forming your basis of understanding on that conclusion, you've got a conclusion with no facts. There's no fact to support that statement at all, and any of the data they've given us. So you can keep that in the back of your mind and see if data comes out to solidify what you're believing. But I don't know why you would believe they weren't there. Everything they've given us tells us that they were there without the cops telling us that. Dylan definitely tells you she was there. She's under oath. She's in a interview with the police. There's nothing she says that indicates she left that house, except she left her room to go to Bethany's, right? So that this is where I think YouTube and all of the streamers, we all get off the bait and trail. You believe that I don't believe they were both in the house. Well, that's just, stop believing shit. You got no evidence to support that. Just let it go. It's not a valid consideration unless or until information comes by to support that point of view. But there is none at this point. She never went to the bathroom. Why couldn't she went to the bathroom on the first floor? She went to Bethany's room. Right? She went to Bethany's room, Natalie. So if she did have to, use the room, well, but looking at what's not there can't answer what is there. I mean, it's like looking into a dark room and deciding what's in the room. You have to have a fact and a base to start from, right? I opened the door and looked in. Well, if the room is completely dark, you have to then say, I looked in, and as the moonlight shined in through the window that was covered with a light fleece curtain, I observed. It's those details that make what you're saying real. And when Dylan Mortensen and Bethany are texting, is it possible that they weren't even in the house making these texts? I guess. But where's the evidence to make that a fact? And there just isn't yet. Right? They screamed and nothing happened. Again, we're on the assumption that they screamed. It's reasonable to assume they screamed, but we have no evidence that they screamed. We know of a barking dog, a thud, and a whimper. We know of the communications that once that happened, we know that Bethany and Dylan began their communications. What we don't know, Natalie, is if some of these things that may be true are true. Some of the things you're pointing out might be true, but there's no way to solidify that in fact. And so going down those rabbit holes and trying to understand that crime scene through pieces of data that are not verifiable is just a fool's errand. Wait to see if they become real. I mean, there's a lot of things we can consider, right? This one is an audio we can hear very well. You're talking about all these other streamers that put all these fucking videos up and these audios, and they tell you what you're hearing, and they get you to listen, and you hear something, and that is not part of the evidentiary basis under which Brian Koberger is being accused, as far as we're aware. And at this moment of time, none of those audio recordings are relevant that these streamers are playing. up until the point you see that they're part of this hearing, or they're part of this accusation, or they're part of the trial, or they're in a motion to suppress, they're in a motion to eliminate, none of those audios that you're referring to are even a part of the case. And what are we really looking at here when we look at the Idaho4? We're looking at the accusation against Brian Christopher Kohlberger. We're looking at the story that the police are telling us took place that night. And nothing in that story has any of the audio thus far. I'm not saying it won't show up. Not saying it won't show up. Well, I mean, listen, I'm not going to argue back and forth. You're saying the audio was good enough for a dog. Not good, but good for the dog. That's right. That's absolutely right. That's exactly where we stand. You don't even understand that your argument is actually the point that I'm making. Okay? You're right. What up there, Thomas? Your argument is the point that I'm making. 100%, but you don't seem to understand the point I'm making, or you refuse to settle with that point and wait for the case to develop, which is what we need to do, right? I don't give a shit what these other streamers have put out there. The noises, the recordings, the videos, the pictures, it's all fucking waste of fucking time at this point. None of it means nothing. Unless they tell you what it means. And there's another example of people telling you how to think. Or not even how. They're telling you what to think. I'm trying to tell you how to think. There's a difference between myself and these other streamers. You don't have to agree with me. Just bring evidence in to show me that in the case against Brian Christopher Kohlberger, in that case specifically, that there's documents, recordings, statements, or testimony that contradict the killings began at 4:17 a.m. Bring it. Because until you can bring it, that observation is spot on. Court documents reveal that 1112 King Road also picked up sounds of a struggle. Do you know what time that sounds of struggle were picked up, Thomas? They were also looking for a white Elantra because one was stolen 2nd of November in Washington. Okay. Its relevance to this case may be nothing. Thomas, do you know what time that happened? Does that sound precede the 4:17? Because if it does, then we'll immediately change the 4:17 to the time previous to 4:17 that you said that the sounds of a struggle were picked up on a ring camera. So it's very important that we get those documents and the timestamps on those documents, because that's the only narrative that we can confirm, whether we think Brian did it or not. Those are the data points that we have to run from, not Bubbly Water's data point, not Pavarotti's data points, but the data points that are coming out of the court. There you go. Thank you, Thomas. So at 4:17 a.m., along with the thud, we now can add sounds of a struggle, dog barking, right? Whimpering, a thud, sounds of a struggle, and a dog barking, all coalesce at 4:17 a.m. That's quite interesting. Thank you very much, Thomas. So again, there's nothing for me to change here. And I want you to know, Natalie, I'm not picking on you or trying to be superior or anything else. I just want you to realize that the approach used on this stream is different than all the other streams. And inasmuch Lana does it somewhat harsh, somewhat. Some of the other streams touch on it, but I'm like a stickler. Without data, there's very little there's no sense in making a conclusion when you have no data, or the data you have is not a part of the actual criminal case against Brian. It has no bearing in trying to understand their accusation and to see the validity of their accusation. Because you're hearing screaming on a camera down the street somewhere doesn't mean it's relevant to the 1122 crime. Because you might be hearing a dog on a different camera or on somebody's car cam or on, doesn't mean it's relative. It relates to this crime. If it does relate to this crime, then Ann or the prosecution will enter that into the evidence, right? Yeah, Thomas has been away for a while. And when that time comes, if it does come, then to me that piece of information is absolutely worthy of discussion. If the boys in the Banfield become part of the discussion, and then at that time, they're a worthy part of discussion and examination. If what happened at the grub truck is relevant, and it's in the accusatory instruments, or it's used as a defense by the defense itself, then it becomes relevant. But until then, it's chaff. It's nothing. I mean, we can make a lot of things that happened that night coincidental. Why are the other cars moving around there? Why are the other cars moving around not considered part of the crime? Why is any car considered part of the crime? And even worse, the car that they're considering, they themselves show us is not Brian Kohlberger. That's not Brian's car. That evidence has already been, that evidence is in. That conclusion is as solid as to say that on the East Coast, it's 10:38 p.m. and it's dark out. Okay? That's just reality. And so, unless there's some nuance or some other niche that they have to share with us, the car they tracked from WSU is not Brian's car. Who's Happy Hounds? But, and I don't know. This isn't a pissing contest over who's right and wrong. This is really, for me, a pissing contest of context. Which context holds more ground than others? And come to the conclusion, you know who the killer is. I just think that's craziness, man. How do you convince all these non-believers? I try to teach them to think, not believe. To believe something is just a fool's errand. And that's what the media does. That's what politicians do. That's what district attorneys do. That's what your friends and family try to get you to believe. And I'm not a believer in anything. I don't believe. I don't know if we got 8 weeks to go. It may take longer. It may take longer than 8 weeks. And I think really, Ann said this, but I said this in the very beginning. But Ann, it bared out before she ever made this statement when they were arguing for an alibi. I said in the very beginning, the PCA, the accusations by the police are exculpatory evidence to benefit Brian. And she said that when later on, a year later, when they're arguing about he's got to give them an alibi. That most of his alibi is going to come from the information that's been presented by the prosecution. And that's exactly what I've shown you when we talk about what car they tracked. That's exculpatory. I don't give a fuck where Brian went. So now that we know the car you tracked is the wrong car, right? Wrong car in as much as that car could not be Brian's. Did you ever attempt to identify who really drove that car? Right? That's going to blow them fucking policemen up on the stand. It's going to be like Hiroshima all over again. Right? So it's these policemen are going to find themselves drowning in their inaccurate task of investigation, their inability or their unwillingness or their ignorant interpretation of facts that they did find that may not even apply to the case. I mean, it's facts. There's a fucking pure fact that they caught a vehicle on a camera in several different locations. Nobody can discount that. It's true. Did they base that on the car that went from WSU to Moscow? Yeah. As they've repeatedly said, suspect vehicle 1. Well, that's suspect vehicle 1. If it's involved in the crime, couldn't possibly be Brian Kohlberger. But no buts about it. The cops are going to find themselves drowning in their own fucking ignorance. And I wish honest to God, a high-profile law firm got involved with this to defend him, because, and I don't want to disparage Ann. I think Ann's doing the best she can under the situation she can, but there is a limitation because she has to fucking work every day with these people. You guys don't understand that. Imagine if you are in a position where you have to face all the people that you have to that you're going to blow up on the stand, or that you could do this or that to. Man, listen, I know this for firsthand. I had an attorney look at me right in the face and say, I'm not going after the law guardian. I got to work with these people after your case is over. Now, a lot of lawyers won't say that blatantly to your fucking face, but that does have a part in this. Is there any effect? Is that any of what we've seen here? Is that affecting Anne? Right? Well, yeah, she is. Thank you, there, musical. She's in a very tough position, and it's it's an undesirable position. That's why it would be nice for high-powered lawyers to come in from out of town. And really present this case to the court, because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I can't believe these other attorneys didn't come in. They don't look at missing people with seriousness, but they sure worry about noise complaints. Yeah, there you go. Big potato heaven. Uh-oh, is she around tonight? Where's Biff? Where's Biff? My name for Heather is Biff. How's Lana doing? Has anybody been over there and checked on Lana? Can we get a Lana update? Because that's can we get a Lana update from people that are able to jump into Lana's stream and fill us in? Is she out of that loop? Yep, she lost you. But is she still in that loop? Is she interacting with her chat room yet? Has she got any panel people? Is she? Tell her Sarge is concerned. In a nice way, you know? She's trying to put on a trial and answer questions that Anne may or may not ask. And she's doing it with herself. I get it. Yeah, she's ranting at paper. Yeah. That's okay, Thomas. We all have our preferred. She does provide, whether if you turned her volume down and just read the papers, the papers themselves do have an intricate value. Yeah. Well, I just, I'm a stickler, and yeah, I guess I don't know what happened to the person that was in here earlier that was talking about them not being there. There was a person here the other night saying, I believe there was a blanket over Zaina. How could she have seen her? And it's like, where did, there's nothing to suggest there was a blanket over her. So for you to, and that's what happens when you try to solve the crime. Rather than you try to hold accountable the jurisdictional people, the people that had jurisdiction to execute the investigation, to carry out the task of finding the culprit and assembling the evidence to convict the culprit. That's what the fuck these people are appointed to do, and they're assigned to do, and they're hired to do, and they're paid to do. There's your problem. Those people are our problem. And unless that problem is fixed, you all know that you're not going to find the truth, whether he's convicted or not. You're never going to know whether that conviction, if it happens, is the right person, is the only person. Oh, did she logged off? Good. Good, she's taking a break. I know she did a marathon. Would she go 5 or 6 hours? So, yeah, I don't know anything about 2018. I have to do replay with Lana because I'm not watching the Karen Reed case. Well, Karen Reed case is interesting. The taillight was not smashed by her backing into her boyfriend. And that's all you need to know. That evidence is clear. That evidence is on video. That evidence is testified by a police officer that was in charge of recovering her vehicle and bringing it to the Sally Port. I don't know whether she's innocent or not. Again, this isn't an argument of innocence. A guilty person should be set free for being framed for the crime by the people that framed her. Those people should be held to account, not the criminal. This is why I can't implore upon you folks is any stronger than this. Who did it don't matter when the cases are this fucked up. You got to fix the fucked up. Does that mean a guilty person may go free? Yeah, it does. That's the price you pay. But that risk is there in every case anyway. Even when they do the cases correctly, there's a jury involved, right? Listen, they accused her of backing into this guy at a high rate of speed. Okay. And the taillight's not broken. The taillight they're trying to show the jury is smashed out completely. There's video evidence that it's not smashed out completely, but that it was broke. And the irony of not only was it broke, but it was broke in the exact location that it would have broke had she backed into that vehicle that she did back into on video. It was not smashed out as a result of backing into something with force. There was no way they found all of those people at the crime scene while her vehicle was put on a tow truck with a fully intact fucking taillight. Can someone explain that? Where did you find all these broken pieces of taillight? Well, at the crime scene. Well, but 2 days later, when they went and picked her truck up and brought it to the Sally port, it was damaged, but the taillight was intact. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. And the sad part is that cases like this make it to trial. Just look at the time and resources and fucking bullshit that everybody's gone through that's connected to it. Forget about our time as observers. The court, the fucking professionals, the experts, the this, the that, the fucking jurors, the fucking all of the heat, the electric bill in the court, everything that goes into doing this on a case that was assembled by a bunch of fucking criminal cocksuckers. Okay, that shouldn't be policemen. At least in that case, who was it that some of the police were being held to account? One of them was let go. One of them lost his vacation time, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if anybody admitted they broke it, but what I'm saying is that the taillight musical is after the crime, after the accused crime, when the vehicle is removed from the property, the passenger side taillight is intact per video of the officer in charge of removing that vehicle. So I don't give a fuck what, in other words, that's all the defense had to show. All of this bullshit, all these experts, all of this with dogs and all of this that, look, she didn't do it. And there's no way she did it according to their argument. There's no way they found pieces of this taillight in the fucking snow, because 2 days later, when they removed her vehicle during a snowstorm, the taillight on that vehicle was intact, meaning the taillight was broken after it was removed from her property, hours or days after the crime is alleged took place. And that's all defense has to say about anything. We arrest, Your Honor, and let the jury go back and fucking figure out how the hell the taillight got. That's their problem now. All of this argument about dogs and dog bites to the arm and blah, blah. Okay. I imagine, right? Yeah, these best friend cops got her boyfriend killed, and they blame Karen Reed. Incredible. How long does it take to freeze to death out in the cold? How did she know he froze to death from the cold? Yeah, I don't know that that's true, musical. But here's the thing. Even if she texted that at 6:30 in the morning as she's arguing, how's long to die in the cold? How did she know he died in the cold and wasn't just bashed in the head and dead instantly? How does she know he wasn't shot? I mean, that's the. I don't know if the lawyer covered that, but that's an obvious fucking question. So they found this guy in the front yard. Yeah, it was cold. Yeah, there was snow. But under what fucking happy horseshit thinking do you have to think that that's what killed him? That's a pretty obvious fucking question. Well, he was dead, wasn't he? Yeah, he was dead. But how do you know there wasn't a gunshot wound? How do you know someone didn't hit him in the head with a baseball bat? How do you know he didn't have a heart attack? How do you know anything? Why are you Googling how's long to die in the cold? Huh. . All horse shit is happy. It might even be an honorable position since it's mentioned so often in humanity's fucking life cycle. Don't give me that horse shit. Well, give me that one. What do you mean you don't want this horse shit? You want that horse shit? You don't want this horse shit? You gotta have horse shit. What up, Crystal Amber? Dago's got a stream going too, I think. And I'm glad Lana take a break. And I don't want anybody to run out of here and think I was attacking Lana or making fun of Lana or none of that at all. Not even fucking close. I was concerned she was caught in the fucking brain loop. I get them myself. Yeah, what is it with these listen. These policemen, I'm telling you, there's so many bad cops out there. And even worse, bad prosecutors, right? Just bad people in the justice system in general, many of them. Look at the people that were tampering with the DNA samples. What were there, 30,000 of them in a nearby state? Then on the East Coast, there was tens of thousands of them from another lab. I mean, really? What the fuck is going on here? And you know, there's so many ways to look at this. Did that lady tamper with the samples because she was protecting drug cartels, sex fucking traffickers, mafia fucking? What was she doing that for? Were the crimes she was fucking with this? Was she doing that to solve a crime to protect the criminals? Or was she doing that because she wanted the accolades and the fucking recognition and the pats on the back and to earn more money for being a fucking superstar in the DNA field? You don't know. But what the fuck has any of that got to do with anything when you look at the truth? Judges are the same way. What is so fucking hard with the world accepting the truth? I don't understand. If I'm ever into a mental loop, that's it right there. I don't fucking get it. What is the fucking problem with the truth, man? I remember that saying. Remind me of something I stepped in and I don't like the smell of it. Yeah, that's what drives me nuts. Listen, I got a guy that I fucking unfriended to his face and almost got violent over it. Because here's the deal. People that know me know. You don't got to lie to me for something. Right? You just don't. So I'm in a car group. If there's something on my car that I just bought but realized I don't need because I decided to go a different route. I'm more than happy for you to come up and say, look, I'm never going to be able to afford something like that. And you're not using it. Would you mind if I took it? I'd be like, okay. Or I would say no. But don't come up to me and say, listen, can I do some work on your car and trade for that fucking device? And I say, okay. And then I give you the device. And then when it comes time to work on my car, you're nowhere to be found, or you got more excuses than there are fucking numbers in the known fucking language of English. Fuck you. You're done. You're dead to me. You might have been better. You'd have been way better off to just ask me. Just come forward and say, listen, I really ain't got much or anything to offer you, but I could really use that gauge. Any way I could get that from you? I'd rather people be fucking honest, man. I'm not asking for, but I guess that is asking for too much. That's the sad point about the truth and being honest. You're literally asking people for too much. How do you like them apples, folks? Look what we discovered tonight. When are you asking too much? When you're asking people to be truthful and honest. That's where the line is drawn. And I'd like anyone in that fucking chat room across 3 different streams to show me where I'm wrong in that analysis. When do you know you've gone too far? It's when you ask for the truth and honesty. That's the demarcation line of going too far. Anyone agree with that? Give me a 1 for a yes, a 2 for a no. What do you guys think of that new analysis Sarge just created in his little fucking head? You're asking too much when you're asking for people to be truthful and honest. That's how you know you're asking for too much. 1 or 2, folks. Do you agree with that? 1 or 2. Bring it! Bring it. Come on. Jump up on the panel. Show me where I'm wrong. Challenge me. Contradict me. Come on, folks. Give me that panel, that one or two. Did I discover exactly when you know you're asking for too much? One yes, two no. Come on. Feed my ego. I got egos in the freezer. I'll share them with you. No, most commonly, that is the demarcation line between when you're asking for too much from others. And there you go, Isabel. Love you. Yeah, one. Thank you, musical cherubs. Come on, folks. There's 122 of you scattered around here or on X. Not able to communicate. I don't know why you don't. Chat room nobody says anything in the open chat. Let me open it up. I'll even post a link over here on X. You're welcome to join StreamYard. Click on that link, folks. You can use your phone. Participate in the poll. Did Sergeant Friday? Storm, stop blocking people on YouTube. You can't tell me to stop blocking people on YouTube. What are you, fucked up? You don't even, I mean, yeah. When I had 28,000 followers on YouTube, I probably had 35,000 people blocked. I used to argue that I had the record for the highest amount of blocked people of anybody ever that was streaming on YouTube and active on fucking Twitter. I was proud of that. So Becky goes with it. Undecided. However, in today's society and its level of morality, I'd have to agree. Thomas, thank you for the one. And don't tell me to stop blocking people, Storms. What is Storms? What do you got for an avatar? Not even worth looking at. Chat isn't loading on my end. Well, I don't know why it's not. On what stream is it not loading? Showing me live over there on X with 40 viewers. It's showing me live with 80 viewers or 79 viewers here on the tubes. And if you can, folks, you don't have to. You're not required. It doesn't matter one way or the other to the general fucking 8 billion others out there. But if you want to hit like on the stream, it'll put us in an algorithm. It'll share my chaos. You profound of blocking other people's opinions. You proud? When people's opinions are based on horse shit, yeah, I'm proud of it. I don't have to accept other people's opinions. And your opinions really don't roll well here. If you've got a fact to support your thought, if you got a fact to support your conclusion, then you're welcome to share that. But if you're just giving me an opinion like Brian used his fucking shower curtain to commit the crime, if that's your opinion, you got to get the fuck out of here. Because I just, I can't process. In other words, I won't step down to that level of ineptitude to engage in a conversation with another human being. If I've got to drop down to your level, it's over. You're out of here. Carl thinks it's funny. No, but I hope people think that's the most arrogant thing they've ever heard. I hope you fucking hate me for that. But I'm telling you, if I have to drop my intelligence level to engage in topics that are fucking ignorant, just to engage in conversation with another person, I'm gone. And since I'm not blocking myself, when I say I'm gone, that means you get blocked. That's pretty simple. Someone needs to contact Lana and see and just see if she's unlooped or you know, I don't know. I'm not really concerned for her like she's going to have a nerve. No. But I guess what really caught my attention was she wasn't engaging in conversation with her members, her subscribers. And she's trying to resonate or trying to reason it all out in her own head. And that I understand that. That's why I've said this to people that know me. I've come to conclusions on different thoughts and different ideas only because I'm able to share it. That's just so you folks know. That's the main reason why I stream. That's why I keep telling you, I don't care if I have 1 fucking subscriber or 1 billion. My brain processes information as I serve it up. It gives me a chance to see if it makes fucking sense. And it gives me a chance to jump from one fucking issue to another and connect dots. I've been there. I'm usually staring at a whiteboard, talking to myself. Well, why don't you get a link for her, Carl? You're a moderator. Why don't you put a link in the room? And damn, Miss Q, let's not go there. Yeah, exactly, Storms. I don't care for your opinion because typically you're probably one of those fucking conspiracy theorists that have solved a crime or believe in Bigfoot or UFOs, and you run down them fucking rabbit fields, or you take what people tell you as what you should think about a particular topic, and then you want to come and discuss it when you've put no thought into it at all. You don't have a mind that's working. You have a mind that's being programmed, and I don't lower myself to that level. I just won't do it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not asking for people to agree. No one has to agree with what I'm saying. I ask for people to come and debunk what I'm saying. Show me how the killings began at a different time other than 4:17 a.m. with evidence that we can look at that's directly connected to this case. Not some fucking theory from a video someone played on a YouTube channel. I don't want to hear it. Is it part of this fucking case? Is it part of the prosecution? Is it part of the defense? No, I'm talking to Storms there, Miss Q. Don't get ahead of yourself. I mean, show me. Show me how some other idea, other conclusion that's based on data we can refer to. I just subscribe to her. I don't know who she is, but I'll give her a whirl. Titanium built true crime and life vlog. I don't know what a life vlog is. Okay. She's very invested in Karen Reed right now. My sad Lana has big man. Come on now there, Miss Q. You gotta chill. I tried watching it and I didn't learn or get thought provoking on her channel. I gave up. So there's another view. And I hope chat loaded. I don't know why it wouldn't load or where you're observing us from. But YouTube is loaded. Is Rumble loaded? Rumble has got 3 people. And anybody on Rumble, you can click the link that I posted in the stream. You don't have to hide out on Rumble. You could post and become a part of StreamYard, which will then broadcast not only to Rumble, but and to YouTube. And anyone is, I don't hide from anybody. The drunk fucking bird can come in here. I don't give a fuck. But come in here with some facts that aren't fucking, that aren't discussable. Okay? Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Yeah, I've only been around true crime since the Koberger case broke. I got involved. Here's the irony of it all. I got involved in politics in a February. I left politics in a February. And then 2 years later, I joined true crime in February. Why that happened that way, I don't know. I don't know. Storms, I don't know if you're suggesting that you've been blocked. I don't know what you're saying or why you're saying it. Maybe you are blocked. Maybe you are blocked because maybe you were coming in here with some of these, reflections or something. I don't know. But if you don't think you should be blocked or that you want to be a part of the conversation, I did post a link. You're welcome to click on that link. Right? Everybody is. That's possible. That observation may be possible. But again, I asked the question, what does the grub truck or the corner club, what does that have to do with the accusations in this case? And that's where I don't see any connection between the corner club, the grub truck, the Banfield, or anything else. No, I haven't ran for office because I do have a felony convicted record. And none of it's got to do with violence against children or women. None of it's got to do with any sexual perverted shit. But I do have a felony background from 30 years ago. And no, I haven't ran for office. I unlike with Trump, they probably wouldn't miss. They probably would hit me with a fucking bullet. That's fair enough. That's a good observation as to whether it's Photoshop. But to me, To me, those images only have an importance if they become a part of this case, right? Yeah, I do think the truth and being honest is the thing. And look, I don't think people are being dishonest when they run down these rabbit holes of all these other different fucking stories. I mean, I was in Russiagate. The amount of different people with different opinions about what, blah, 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 blah. It was insane. It was insane. There was a guy out there. What was his name? I can't remember his name. I turned him into a monster, though. Dawson Fields. Check for him on X. Dawson Fields. Oh, man. Another guy, Muse, M-U-S-E. He was cool. Twist told me he had hidden me by mistake, and I don't even know he had done it. I see my chats, but no one. I see your chat. What do you mean? Happy Hounds, you're showing up on YouTube. You're showing up on StreamYard. You're not blocked. There you are, sweet and salty. Let me see here. Yeah, and how many people that run streams, right? I don't know if they run them across multiple platforms, but I do that, right? And as a result, people that I block can often access me through an alternative platform. And has anybody ever not seen me offer those alternative platforms the ability to link in and get up on a panel here with me? No. I listen, I'll block you because you really were rolling down a road of ignorance or something, and I'll block you. But that doesn't mean you can't jump up on here and just don't run down that road of ignorance. Bring some solid facts that connect to the case. I don't know how to do that. And my third world tech support, my third world tech support let me see here. I got to look through it. Let me see something here. Here's one. Here's one you guys are going to love. This is my favorite image. Watch this. Hang on. Can you guys see it? let me go live here on YouTube. My favorite image. Can you guys see that? Yes, you all are wrong. Oh, man. As we used to say in the day, that right there, folks, is the tits. Yes, you're all wrong. Miss Q, you're pretty rowdy in here. If you want an honest opinion, ask T. I just try to be kind as much as possible, not hurt someone's feelings, and how I say. Well, they're happy hounds. You can offer up any opinion you want in here. I'm not really profoundly happy when we attack each other, but there are moments in time where people definitely earn the wrath of being attacked, and there is room for that. What's up, King Christopher? There's room for that, and there's an appropriate time and place for everything. Again, I'll offer up the ability for someone to come up on panel if you so choose. And you could discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. It doesn't have to necessarily be the Idaho4. You could talk about pretty much anything you want. As long as it isn't illegal and perverted to the extreme, have at it. And I shall engage in conversation with you. Yeah, so I don't know what your malfunction is there, Storm. Storm Oz or whatever your name is, Storms. I don't know. Oh, look at Kara. Don't be impugning the fucking male gender there, honey. the kind of person who likes honesty, but I grew up with 7 brothers. Yeah. Yeah, we don't wear makeup, so let's just start out with where honesty begins and ends. It ain't with men, it's with women too. From some of the most mundane things. How many of you women wear shoes that are smaller than the actual size of your feet? Come on now. Is that still a thing? Oh man, we all have our levels of honesty and dishonesty, depending on the what, where, when, why, and how. Which is really the 5 W's of what we should be checking out here when it comes to the actions of what the Idaho authorities have done. What appears to be the complete and total ineptitude of the authorities in Moscow, Idaho. I mean, I wouldn't want those guys actually doing airport security, because they'd get lost looking at a woman's tits while fucking 4 or 5 guys walk through with fucking AK-47s on their back. I could see it now. How about the Karen Reed cops that were talking all that shit about Karen? These guys are more concerned whether you're fuckable than you are guilty. What kind of bullshit is that? I know men are men, and we do talk some, but not in a professional capacity. You don't do that. It's just it's chaos, man. That's one of that Officer Proctor. That's his name, Officer Proctor. Oh man! All right, let me take that picture down here. Hang on. Let's see if we got another one. Here's another one I greatly appreciate. Now, you saw my ego, right? So now let me share with you a portion of my personality. Making everyone happy is impossible. Pissing them off is a piece of cake. I like cake. That's me too. Smoking the whole 9 yards. You got me. There's your host in a nutshell. And it's easy to piss people off. You just got to disagree with them. Boom. And they're off to the fucking races. It's, yeah. Hang on. Hang on. I'm going to show you guys something that's fucking off the hook. You guys want to see something funny? Diet Coke on ice time. Well, I did buy some chocolate syrup, some chocolate ice cream, and bananas. Make me a banana split. What did Becky say? What did Becky? Becky, I thought that was supposed to be happening a long time ago. The judge sets the deadline, but I think I missed what Becky said. If Ann keeps asking for discovery and nothing gets done, what happens? Does not the judge have a right to set a deadline and that's it? She should be filing papers to sanction the fucking prosecution. Yeah. Or the judge needs to rule that whatever that discovery is inadmissible. And she needs to approach the court and demand the court consider that whatever that may be is now inadmissible. We're 2 months from trial. In a case with 64 gigabytes of data, 64 terabytes of data. And this discovery is crucial to not just the defense, but the prosecution's case. Therefore, Your Honor, we demand that be inadmissible. That's the other thing she needs to do. Do you try to piss people off on purpose? Would you just have that effect on people according to your own opinion? I don't try to piss people off on purpose. Mainly, I try to get people to laugh. If you were around me personally, mainly that's mainly what I try to do is get humor injected, even when things aren't going too right. But I have the infinite capacity, even through humor, to piss people off. So maybe, yeah, there's some truth to what your observation may be. All right, let me close this out. I'm going to bring something up that I find extremely humorous. I remember this a long time ago during my divorce. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before. Live. Let me jump through here. There you go. Not sure if you guys have ever seen this before, but it's quite interesting. So pay close attention. Pay close attention to this horse race, right? Here we go. Turn up the volume.
Welcome to the third race at the Honeymoon is Over Downs. They're at the gate, and they're off. Jumping out in the lead is Romance and Affection, with Domestic Bliss in close behind. It's Romance and Affection and Domestic Bliss. Here comes Marriage Vows, followed by Immediate Child. Romance and Affection falling off quickly. Mortgaged Up the Ass, overtaking Domestic Bliss. And here comes Nasty Attitude, followed by More Children and Drinking Heavily. Coming down the backstretch, Drinking Heavily, moving out in front of Mortgaged Up the Ass. But coming on strong on the outside is Credit in Shambles. It's Credit in Shambles, followed by I Don't Give a Shit, Nasty Attitude, and Up Yours Keep. Up Yours Keep challenging for second going into the clubhouse turn. Passing on the rail is I Don't Give a Shit, taking the lead. Followed by The Fucking House, You Cook Like Shit, and I Fucked Your Brother. Here they come spinning out of the turn. I Don't Give a Shit still in front. Up Yours Keep challenging for the lead. Up Yours Keep and I Don't Give a Shit neck and neck. And down the stretch they come. Up Yours Keep is pulling away from I Don't Give a Shit by a length. Coming on strong is I Am Out of Here, and passing the pack is The Fucking House. And at the wire, it's Up Yours Keep, The Fucking House, I Don't Give a Shit, and I Am Out of Here.
It's just fucked up, isn't it? What the fuck is that all about, man? Oh, man. That shit is the best. I don't care what anybody says. That fucking stupid thing. Oh, man. You know, anybody going through a divorce, you can look that up by looking up for horse race divorce. It'll come up. That is epic. No, I prefer laughter over anything else when we're talking about you know, no matter what it is, right? So, yeah, I prefer humor, but you know, there's other times where I don't know, running someone over is interesting, and being a dickhead is interesting at times, you know. But I'm called. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. My friends do call me. You're just an asshole. And let me just tell you, folks, this is why it makes what I said earlier even more real. I'm an asshole because I always tell the truth. And if you're being dishonest, right? And I know the truth, I slap you around with it. You see? And because of that, I'm called the asshole. Oh, here comes asshole. Yeah, I'm an asshole. Why? Why am I an asshole? Because you were cheating on your wife and I was talking, you were trying to hide it and I was talking about it openly? You should have told me you were cheating with your wife. I told you. There's things that you shouldn't tell me. I'm your friend, but there's things about you I just don't want to know. And there are things about you don't want me to know. Because that's just who I am. You're a fucking dick. You're an asshole. You're that. No. Right? People's ingenuity can be pretty amazing. Who thought up and took the time to make that video? I agree, man. I agree. That's just badass, that one. Happy Hounds. Where do these people come from? That's just fucking incredible. That's the best thing I've ever heard when it comes to a divorce. It's so poignant. It's so on fucking par with the shit that goes on in marriages and the ending of the marriages. Oh, it's just too much, man. But yeah, there's, and I'm always on. If I'm your friend, I'm on your team. Unless being on your team is if you're in the wrong, then no, I'm not on your team. That's why I say to you, don't tell me everything. I'll talk with you about anything, but there's certain things about you I just don't really need to know. I don't want to know. And chances are you're going to be a lot better off if I don't know. No, I'm not going to run to your wife and snitch. That's not what I'm going to do. But that conversation could pop up anywhere depending on what you're talking about. I'm not just going to fucking flop it out there for the sake of flopping it out there. But I mean, just don't tell me this certain shit like that. I don't want to know. I don't really want to know because I really can't control what goes to the processing of fucking information in my head that immediately exits through my fucking mouth. It's not that I don't have any filter. It's that there was never a filter installed. There isn't any area that you could claim to be a missing filter. It's that I was built with no filter. There just was never any consideration to that. And so, boom, watch it. Just like none of my friends aren't unfamiliar with my past. I don't want anybody hanging around me or being friends with me and then finding out I did something years ago, and then questioning, you know, and then questioning. Oh, who is this guy I'm hanging out? I don't live like that. My wife knew all of that before she married me. I didn't keep any secrets from her. And look, there's good reason for some people have professions and jobs that somebody with my background, even though it's 30 years old, may not be healthy for their coworkers or their other fucking people in their position to find out about, right? So that's why I'm honest. It's good for me. It's good for everyone around me. And that I struggle with that all the time with my foreman. I just want to knock his fucking teeth out. He doesn't it's like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to fucking condemn you. I'm not going to fucking look down on you. I'm not going to treat you any different. But just be fucking honest. I mean, if you don't want to work today, just say you don't want to work today. That's fucking exactly what I want to hear. You know? Not, oh, my phone broke, like I heard tonight. My phone died. Well, everybody around you has a phone. What kind of fucking stupid shit? So if your phone died and you got in a car accident and you're transporting 3 workers with you, you wouldn't ask one of them for their phone? Come on. I was too tired and I didn't want to call you. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Great. Be good, Miss Q. I mean, people, they flip me out. Even people that know me, it's like, really? Really? We got to go through these fucking shenanigans, these fucking happy horseshit games for what? Yeah. Oh, you know what? Hang on 1 second, folks. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. I got to go make sure that my pool, I know it's filling up, but it doesn't get too full and that my filter's in the right setting so the water doesn't drain right back out. I'll be right back. Give me a couple of minutes. Hold, please. Okay, I'm back. And I'm back. I'm back. The pool so far is 100%. I have no drips, no leaks, no errors. I had put a couple of patch panels in that I had to buy from a pool manufacturer. New skimmer, new new return, new clamps, new liner, new water. All brandy new, sparkling, ready for use water. But it's mighty cold, 60 something degrees, 61-degree water. But we'll correct that quickly once I fire it up and start pumping that water up to the solar heater up on the back area of my home where I have a flat roof covered with solar panels for the pool. Hang on one sec. Computer. That time, cancel timer. So yeah, we've got that all in order. Job well done. You got your sweet and salty's got her hot tub going. There you go. Gotta have the. I always thought of that. Isabel, that sucks. You got those kind of issues. I avoid my neighbors. Had a neighbor knocked on the door the other day. He goes, "Did I loan you my battery charger?" No, no, no. I wouldn't ask you to borrow anything. I don't think I've ever asked you to borrow anything. And I can't. If you want to borrow mine, it's a really weird, backward way to ask someone to borrow a battery charger. But if you want to borrow mine, it's right there in the garage. We can get it. No. I thought I just lent. I know I lent it to someone, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm probably the last person you should consider you lent anything to because I've never asked you to borrow anything. Yeah. Yeah, that global warming boiled it right off, Thomas. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. I actually opted out for a solar powered battery fucking water pump so that the water and maybe Mother Nature would consider that I'm in sync, you know. I got room for a foot spa. And well, hey, a spa of any kind is a spa, you know. So is Lana back up and running? Has anybody checked in on Lana? Do we know if Lana is is she engaged? And I don't mean matrimony, but has she got her stream up? The honeymoon is over towns, and here they are. They're off. That fucking thing is badass. Absolutely badass. No, she's not back up, Candy Girl. What's up, Candy Girl? So I'm going to offer it for the last time. It's funny. I don't know why people don't like jumping up on my stream. I'm pretty enjoyable to have up here on the stream. If you come up here. In another hour now. Yeah, I don't know why people don't jump up on my panel. I'm a very amendable person up on the panel. Unless you become uncooperatively ignorant, then I just shut you down and boot you. She's not live now. She's supposed to be. She's supposed to be. We are cranking over on fucking Rumble. We have 2 viewers on Rumble, and they do have the connection there. For what do we have? We have 52 views on X. What's going on, people on X? How the hell are you? Anything you chat in here, any message you send on X will be transported instantly to my StreamYard studio. Well, it's been a long time since I've suffered from premature evaporation. Yeah. She did a 6-hour live. It ended an hour ago. Yeah, she did. Yeah, but she got caught in the infernal mind loop of some sort. It's like she transported herself into her head and never came out of it. I was in her chat several times over the first 5 hours, trying to see if we can get her attention, talking in capital letters and blah. And yeah, nothing, man. Anybody can pick on me. You don't even come across as picking on me, huh? I do kind of miss Carl and Miss W. I think they're off in the corner smooching somewhere, maybe. But I don't know if Carl was actually able to close that deal. Poor Carl. I don't think he was able to close that deal. Miss W, I don't know. He only had eyes for her. There's a song for you, right? Four Storms gets blocked. I don't know. You get blocked maybe because if it's not just me blocking you, then there's something you need to reevaluate. Yeah. Bad energy. We don't want bad energy. And I'm rather stunned that I wonder, Dago, he must be streaming, right? Doesn't he do like some haunted house shit or something on these streams? Agenda Free TV, True Crime Cafe. Yeah. Creepy, weird, unexplained, and paranormal Saturday. Hold it, please. Wow, okay. See if I can post that in history. No, I don't think it shows. I just posted it in his stream. Oh my God. Oh man. He's only got 27 viewers. Uh-oh. I hope all his viewers didn't abandon him and come to my stream. That would be horrible. I don't really do too much with the supernatural. I am supernatural. If you want to, you guys want to talk about supernatural, let's start talking about Sarge. Well, Thomas, I think it's one of two things. They're involved because they were made to be involved by manipulation and because the police wrote the story, not them. Or they're involved in a more direct way, a more knowledgeable way, a conscious way, or even a physically involved way. To me, it's one of those two. Like I had said a long time ago, there's no forced entry into this home. Nothing. There's no K-bar used to enter a fucking bedroom. No K-bar used to jimmy the lock. There's nothing. Just a K-bar sheath. And its location is highly suspicious. Its location is more indicative of it being placed there by the person it was found under. Okay? And so, yeah, there's a strong potential that these girls were involved in one way, shape, or form. And Dago's a pretty decent guy. For everybody who wants to call out all of his faults and whatever, in the end, he's a pretty decent human being, and that's why, even though he and I have had two fallings out, we're able to mend fences. So, yeah, I do help drive some viewership when I go into different streams. I'm more popular than my stream suggests because I'm recognized wherever I go on anybody's stream or chat room. They may have, and oftentimes, Thomas, those locks on those sliding doors were installed upside down. Those locks are supposed to go from bottom up. They're supposed to, when you click them in place, the hook is supposed to snap up into a latch. Oftentimes, they were put on upside down so that if you were to cock the door or lift the door up, you could actually lift the door up off its latch. You would lift the door up and cock it to the opposite the latch, and it would give you enough height to move the door off the lock. That was years ago. I don't know if that's still an issue with sliding doors, but that was an issue for a long time. It was that the lock was bypassable if you were capable of lifting up that sash or the door itself, the sliding section of the door. So there's a lot of data that we don't have. Like I'm saying with you, I keep it on my screen. There's a lot of unfilled pieces of data that may exist or may not exist. But for the sake of the case. Oh, I have an above ground too. Whether I don't have the space for an in ground. I literally don't have the space. I live in a 1,197 square foot home. I have a 2.5 car detached garage. I have a 165-foot long driveway, and I have a narrow, a 60-foot deep yard that includes the garage, that includes the pool. My backyard is it's perfect for entertainment, but you aren't playing football there. You're not playing kickball back there. But if you want to sit down and chill and invite friends and have a little bonfire, and little, when I say, I mean little, yeah. Didn't Dylan have a picture of her holding a K-bar? Yeah, it wasn't a K-bar. It was some kind of machete. Yeah, there are pictures of her with that. People with a watermelon in their hand. And pools are therapeutic. I can zone out in the pool. I can zone out. That's why I got the race car. I can zone out in that too. Yeah, I got a 1980 customized Corvette. Suspension, everything. Driveline, engine, transmission, gauges, everything you can imagine. Is all modern, updated. There's 2 onboard computers. The car will run 130 miles an hour in just over 10 seconds. It's quite a machine. And that's my, I don't know, it's my that's my past, my youth. But I never had a car this powerful. I also had one of the newer Corvettes with the engine behind you. They call it a mid-engine Corvette, the newer ones. I had a 2021 mid-engine Corvette until the end of the 2023 season. So I was able to enjoy it for the summer of 21, the summer of 22, summer of 23. And in October of 23, I sold it, got more for it than I paid for it, invested the money that I had in that car in the stock market. Or no, I'm sorry, invested it into a CD and earned 5.25% for 12 months. Now it's in the market. And which, by the way, just an update on 23andMe. That may be a buy. That stock used to be at $300 a share. I may go back in and buy, I don't know, man. I bought $5,000 worth and sold it for $9,400 just last week. But I'm almost wondering maybe I should have held on to that. But I still have 250 shares. And so I'm going to hang on to those 250 shares. And if the stock goes up to $300 a share, that's still a lot of money. But I had almost 2,000 shares when I bought. And I was able to get in and out. But 23andMe, which is also, it's going through a bankruptcy and people are trying to buy it. But just know, historically, the high price on that was over $300 a share. If it gets bought and put back together and built back the way it should be, there's no reason that company won't return to that. My thoughts on it. I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I suggest you take and run with any of this information and invest your life savings. Don't do that. But keep an eye on it. I think it's going to progressively continue to go up. I may add another 100 shares. Yep, I am my own accountant, my own business manager, my own investment manager, my own purchasing agent. Yes, all of that stuff. I am. I have, and I enjoy it, and it doesn't take much time. Doesn't take much time. I'm ready to retire too. I'll be 60 this year in September, and I think I'm going to retire. Only because, like I said last night, when's enough? Really, when is enough? And when you don't have any bills to pay because you don't have anything, I don't have, all my shit is new. My house is older, but I mean, the age of the house is not relevant. Everything in it is new. My vehicles are new. Even the 1980 Corvette, every bushing, every bolt, everything on the car, new or newer, and everything is paid for in full. So when you get to that point in life where you don't have any bills, and also you get a little wiser, right? You don't have these whims, and you don't have these, I don't know. You don't have kids that you have to take care of and all of that stuff, and school and games and sports and dental stuff. When all that stuff is said and done, and if you can get to a point where all of your bills are paid for, and like my 2022 Nissan Frontier 4-wheel drive with a plow, it's got 8,000 miles on it. It's literally still a brand new truck. So, will it last 10 more years? Get me to 70? I don't see why not. I don't know that they did or not, but we do know that they looked at Brian Koberger. But the key to them looking at Brian Koberger, according to Officer Payne, was they excluded him. Oh, man, sorry about the hip there. Yeah, so you're right. Is it possible? Yeah, I think that there's truth to that. But as I understood testimony from Officer Payne, that he was looked at earlier on and discounted. And it was mainly, I suggest, because he drove a 15 Elantra. It wasn't until the FBI gave them his name that they hyper-focused to the exclusion of all else on Brian Koberger. No, I think what they're saying may have some validity to it. Let me just say to you folks, everything they've told us is true when you take out the parts of it that are lies. Take out the parts of Hunter going into the house. That's true. That he went in to pry open a door is false. How about when Steve said that there's more DNA, these people stuck on transfer DNA have no clue. There's more DNA in that crime scene, leading us to believe Brian Koberger's DNA was on more areas of the crime scene, to the point where he said they found blood on the sheath. Not the sheath. He called it a sleeve. Well, that was true. They did find blood on a sleeve, the knife sleeve, but it's not Brian's. So a lot of what he said is true. The context that he delivered it under was false. But the actual data, that's a great thing you brought up right there. I'm so glad no one's brought that up. That's why you guys see how my head works? That's why I need a screen or places to expand and express myself, because it gives me the capacity to connect dots that otherwise wouldn't be connected. Steve G does have a value, and that everything he told us has a truth to it. And this again goes on for a perfect example of every lie is covering a truth. So when people say, I don't believe anything the cops said, they lie. I'm telling you, that's an ignorant viewpoint. It's an ignorant viewpoint, because every lie is covering a truth, and the truth is in the lie. It's in there somewhere, folks. That's why knowing someone's a liar doesn't mean you discount them. The truth is in their tale. It's in their story. It's in their fucking written word. It's there. Steve Gonclaves lied to us about different things. Let's not analyze how, who, what, where, why, or any of that. But the fact of the matter is his lies were truths. You see? Steve, thank you for doing what you did. You made it possible for me to make it simple to show people that you don't discount things because they're lies. You have to try to understand that lie. What part of this is the lie? Is it that Hunter forced the door, which we now know? Is it that Hunter went in the house, which we now know he did? Is it that Hunter never went in the house? Maybe the whole story was a lie. What's he covering for? And that reality will then produce itself. Yeah. Who asked that question, man? Biggest red flag, and I don't know, makes sense. Someone asked that question. Who asked that damn question? Do you think the D family really knew about Brian Koberger's name being? Thank you so much for asking that, Becky. Which, not for anything, that's the name of my ex-wife. So you're lucky I'm being nice to you. Yeah, so his name was floating around on the 19th because he was identified through the officers in Washington. It makes sense that his car was noticed and identified. And I think that that's part of the investigative work that they did. The problem with that investigative work is that once the FBI mentioned his name, everything else was no good. Nothing else mattered to these people. To the exclusion of all else, they focused on Brian Koberger. I think that her statements would have been different, but I think it's arguably and provably and arguably true that the police led her to those conclusions. And that tells me that Dylan Morrison either knows more about that night than she's willing to share, or that she knew nothing and went along to get along. Those are the only two conclusions you can make when that happens. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't have the science for it. And listen, the whole reason I've always enjoyed water. I was a boater. I lived by one of the Great Lakes, and man, I used to be on that water every fucking day, swimming in the lake, boating on the lake. I mean, had the boat in a marina, had a boat with central heat, central air, kitchen, bathroom, 2 bedrooms, 2 big black Chevrolet motors in the back pushing it around. Loved it. But yeah, So thank you so much for that question, because again, it shows and it gives me the chance to give people an insight into how I look at things and how these things, when you actually are filled in with more data, how you can daisy chain these connections to make sense out of things that reasonably don't make much fucking sense. I don't know if she said that, but the Koberger name came up. But it was Officer Payne, I believe, on the stand that pointed out, Biff is back. Oh, here we go. We got Biff. Biff is here. Welcome, Biff. Okay, so I don't know the exact date, but I do think it's reasonable and honest as to when they did it and all the other things around Koberger's name. Of course, Koberger's name, owning an Elantra, would have been in their pool of people to be suspicious about or to be looking into. This is what disturbs me, that as the investigation progressed, when they had the owner of an Elantra and they didn't pursue him early on. But according to what we understand from Brett Payne, or was it one of the cops, they excluded Brian Koberger early on. And that's a big deal. They excluded him. Why? Why was he excluded? And then why, when the FBI said, oh, we got DNA that may be a match for Brian Koberger, did he become, to the exclusion of all other data, all other evidence, the only suspect? Yeah, I think if there's reasonable doubt, if there's probable cause to charge somebody with a crime, the suspect should be named. Yes, in all cases, regardless of the crime. It's public information. Remember, you're the government. You and I are the government. Americans have just lost track of what that means and what we really honestly should be doing as the government of our own country. Yeah, we elected Trump, but to represent us. That's why it's a representative republic and not a direct democracy. There's democratic parts involved in our republic, but the country is a republic, not a democracy. And there's reasons for that. That's so that the people have a bigger say and should have a bigger interest in what's going on. Right? And they should be able to take action, whether they have the representative doing it for them or not. Yeah, I don't mind being the only time I don't, there's certain times where I wish my pool was in ground, but it is what it is. And, what are you going to do? Yeah, and I only got the above ground because it was mainly for my daughter. I don't know that I would have got back into swimming pools if it weren't for having a daughter. And so, I started in with the swimming pools when she was probably, oh man, I started with the bathtub and then moved to swimming pools. She's 3-4 years old. My daughter was swimming like a fish before she was 5 years old. Loved water. So, yeah. That may be, I do remember something to that effect. Backwood beats, outlaw rhythms. Damn. Mitch girl. What up? I'm an ass clown sometimes. Yeah, I try to pay attention to the chat because no matter how many times I post, come on up and talk. Come on up. None of you some bitches come up and talk. I don't know what you're afraid of. I can't harm you, right? I'm not going to make a fool of you. I'll let you do that on your own. You're welcome to come do that too. But man, I don't know what it is. Usually when people are offered the attempt to come up on, be part of a panel or make up a panel, they jump at it. There you go. See, there's a lot of helpful people, a lot of smart people, a lot of people with good memories that come into this stream. I honestly think, in all fairness, of those in true crime, I think a big number of people that have big brains and a capacity to analyze and a capacity to come to conclusions that they're open to be changed and mull things back. I think that this stream does have, in all of true crime, I think it contains a high majority of those particular viewers. You guys are definitely, you're not looking to run down rabbit holes and peek around corners and look at pixelated videos and sound and a host that takes you and shows you, look at this document, look at that document, look at what this guy did. You know, I just am not going to be that guy, and I don't think most of you even want to be around people like that as far as when it goes to stream. And we have, let me check my likes over here on the tubes of view. I call them the tubes of view. Oh man, we're at 75 with 84 watching. Now again, you don't need to like it, but just keep in mind, if you want the insanity known as Sergeant Friday to be out in the algorithm, it takes 100 likes for that to happen. No, he's not going to live a normal life. He's going to have to go to some fucking, I don't know. He's going to have to go to some other country. Maybe he's going to have to go move in next to Jesse. You know, move to Thailand or Cambodia or somewhere in South America or Europe. He's this guy, and unless the guy is, listen, unless this trial ends in a fashion, which I really think it should, I think this trial should end in a fashion to which nobody walks away confused if he's exonerated, that the exoneration is presented in a way or handed out in a way that there's absolutely no ambiguity. This kid didn't do it. And these people fucked up. So if he didn't, even if he did do it, that's what he needs to be. That the exoneration comes across that powerful, he'll be fine. He'll be a rock star. Yeah, and here's the thing: people walking across the parking lot is not people running around at night, people screaming at night, people driving their cars. All of that's just normal behavior for any community. You know what these other streamers have done is they're trying to attach it to the crime, just like they're trying to attach Brian Koberger's car to this crime. And there isn't a single fact that puts Brian Koberger's car in that fucking neighborhood. Not one. It's what they're telling you it is, with no evidence that it is other than their mouth. And that's what everybody is doing. They're doing the exact same thing with all these different fucking Linda Lane videos, the grub truck, the fuck, whatever it is. And to me, it's an exercise in futility. Billions of man hours are wasted looking at these things. Meanwhile, the people that should be held to account, the Bill Thompsons of the world, that Ashley Jennings of the world, the judges involved here, the person that signed the warrant, those people need to be held to account for their ineptitude, at the very least, for their ineptitude. And nobody has a single stream or any discussion about Officer Fry, about Brett Payne. Where are the streams that are, and maybe that's what I should start doing, is titling these streams Idaho4, Cracker Claus Thompson and his merry band of fucking losers. Because that's what's going on in a lot of our police departments around the country. Not all of them. There's some extremely good people in law enforcement, top-notch people in the judicial system. They're really, but they get drowned out by the assholes, by the losers, by the, oh man. That's what's missing. You know, I mean, that, and it's funny, you know, every time, and this, I don't know how other people can reason like this, but let me show you a couple of things that just blow my fucking mind. When they arrest Brian Koberger and they've convinced everybody that that's his car, that he committed the crime, and that car is going to be a petri dish of evidence that they got him. There's no question about it. This is the guy. Wait till they do the investigation. More is going to come out. And then when everything that comes out doesn't pan out for these people, they act like, oh, no big deal. Now we'll accept the blurry video. What happened to the fucking evidence that you were thinking was the hard evidence that you know should exist? Well, he had time to clean his car. He cleaned his car. He cleaned his office. He cleaned his apartment, and he cleaned his parents' fucking home. To the fucking detail. To the detail of not just getting rid of any single trace that came from the crime itself, but to not even the mention of him using cleaning solutions. Bleach takes care of DNA. Where's the mention of bleach in his car? Of cleaning solutions found in his vehicle in areas that would be unusual? Who cleans the brake pedals in their car? Who cleans under the carpets in their fucking car? Nobody. Where's the mention of that in their search? That although we didn't find trace evidence from the crime scene, we do have evidence that the car was cleaned in a manner that would be consistent of trying to hide a crime. Based on bleach, based on this, based on the seats bolts being loose, based on the shifter apparently being fucking disconnected. See, this is what I mean. This is what an investigator does. Because in the absence of evidence, there's generally something that you could fit in there. It's not here. The absence of evidence and the inability to explain how that could fucking possibly be from the bloodiest crime scene a coroner has ever seen, from 4 people literally mutilated at knife point, to an individual that you accused of this crime. I used to, I don't anymore. They're musical. And have nothing. And yet you're one of these people that think he did it. And every single time, the shit that you would need to close the fucking circle, to make circular logic, every single time, that piece of information should be there, and it's not. You'll accept then you've reduced yourself to accept anything the police say. That's what I mean about people believing in information and not having the capacity to think. Nobody fucking thinks anymore. And it's obvious. How could you have no forensic connection? How about the fact that Steve G was telling us he connected to the Wi-Fi, and then to find out later that there is no electronic connection between Brian Kohlberger and the victims? None at all, electronic or otherwise. That's when Steve should have realized, I should be shutting the fuck up. But no, he had to keep going. But when the people that think he's guilty, even if he is guilty, because this isn't about being right for me, it's about being honest and being reasonable and being shown the evidence that, yeah, there's no doubt, there's no reasonable doubt Brian did this. Well, none of that evidence exists. None. There isn't a single solitary piece of evidence that says that, including the transfer DNA. Including the transfer DNA. And why can any reasonable thinking human being make that fucking conclusion? Because none of the other DNA is considered part of the crime. I don't understand how people don't seem to connect these fucking dots like that. If you got 7 other samples of DNA that aren't part of the crime, but his is, explain that. When all those other samples of the DNA come either off a victim, off the sheet, or in the fucking crime scene. How is it all this other DNA don't matter, but Brian's does? Well, if his does, how the hell do you not process the thought like that? If you're a thinking human being, you're an investigator, you're a prosecutor, you're a judge, you're some idiot on YouTube watching this happen in real fucking time. What the fuck is wrong with people? Because even if he did do it, none of this information completes a circle. You can't even make a straight line out of the story these people have told us. And yet, that straight line isn't required. Completing the circle isn't required. We have transfer DNA. Shoot this guy. Execute that fucking guy. Yeah, that's the world we live in. We're all a bunch of fucking witch hunters from the 1600s, reincarnated and became modern day Americans. Brian Kohlberger don't float, therefore he's a witch. Burn that motherfucker. Well, how about the fact that the people investigating them don't float either? Maybe they should be in the same fire of Brian Koberger. And how about all you idiots that don't seem to think that just because he don't float, don't make him a witch? I'm just like, phew. I don't even know how to process that their inability to be honest with themselves is really, I think, the biggest thing. Remember I said earlier, folks, when you're in an interaction with another person, you know you've gone too far. When you're asking for them to be truthful and honest. That's crossing a line. You've gone too far. That's where our society has come to. How can you accuse a man of these multiple homicides and have not one single solid piece of information of evidence that places him at that crime scene? And I'll say this one more time. If I haven't said it 1,000 times, I haven't said it once. My gun with my fingerprints in a crime scene where someone was shot and killed isn't proof I committed the crime. And I'm not even going to explain to you how that works. But if you don't understand that, there's something fucking wrong with you. My gun at a crime scene where someone was shot and killed does not prove I did it. My fingerprints are on the gun. That's circumstantial evidence, folks. The gun does not define the shooter. The gun leads you in a direction to me. There's no doubt about it. I am your primary suspect. There's no fucking question about it. But I'm a suspect. And until you can close the circle or draw the straight line, placing me at that fucking place with that gun in my hand, pulling the trigger, okay, or draw a straight line to that place where you can show that there was no other person at that place except me and the deceased, that there was no one else that could have done that except me and the deceased, because you could show that I was here, and here. And so circumstantially, you can show. Well, we got a video of him entering the apartment building. If you can't daisy chain that you found this gun, if you can't daisy chain that gun to me, even if my fucking fingerprints are on it, even if it's registered in my name, you don't have a case against me. I know for a fact this is true. I know for a fact it's true. Not to say I killed anybody. That's not what I don't want anybody to walk around thinking that. But I'm telling you, I know for an absolute fact that is a truth. That's true. You need to close the fucking circle. Circular logic is what is required to breach the beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard to which you're to be judged, right? They're not going to be able to do that, Thomas. They can't do that. They can't even close the loop that a car was part of the crime. Worse, the car that they tracked is provably, by their own fucking admission, is provably not Brian Koberger's car. That's the real problem here. You can't overcome that. The car that they claim is Brian Koberger's that turned his phone off at 2:47 a.m. can't be Brian Koberger, because Brian Koberger's car was traveling south and its location was handed off to a third tower, to which he continued traveling south. Therefore, the car that you claim was Brian's can't be Brian. This should never have gotten to where it is. Brian Koberger should not have been in jail. And this is what I keep saying to people, it's got nothing to do with his innocence or guilt. It's got everything to do with the process these people that we trust our fucking safety to, everything they didn't do. And every conclusion they did make is fucking ass backwards. Our problem isn't who killed those young people. That will not be our problem until we could get the people that are actually there in that town the fuck out of there, and people put in their place that can do the job that needs to be done. That's the only real effect we can have on this at all. It's this same thing in Karen Reed. Finally, a policeman stood on the stand And a video was produced to show that that taillight wasn't smashed out of that car. When the police apprehended her vehicle for an inspection, that taillight was intact. That should have been the first thing the defense put forward, but it is what it is. I'm not, I'm not a lawyer, although I've lawyered for myself, both in the divorce and both in criminal cases and in civil cases. I've got a record of winning more times than every time I used a lawyer where I lost. You fucking lawyers. Just crazy, man. Now, Thomas, the case file, though, is not going to be any. You've seen the case file argued in court under the motions to suppress, under the motions for a Franks hearing, under the motions in limine. What they have is now mostly known to us. Yes, there are things that are still sealed and kept from us. They better be some solid fucking things that close the circle on this. Whether the PCA is used or not, the basis under which they track that vehicle is unquestionably that white car that came out of WSU, which is not Brian Koberger. I can't believe the case is to where it is, and you want to know the truth. I just don't understand how it got to be where it's at. And what, I know no one's going to like this, but that's on Ann Taylor. That's literally on Ann Taylor. That the case is where it is right now. This should have been stopped a long time ago by effective defense. I think she's keen enough to see and understand where she needs to apply her work. I'm not so sure that she's as capable to argue for it and win the argument, which I think we've witnessed, folks. As you keep saying, Judge Hippler is biased. Well, that argument probably wouldn't come across that way if somebody with a little more fortitude, a little more tenacity, okay, and was willing to interrupt the judge. When the judge interpreted talk about the DNA as her claiming Koberger had a constitutional protection to that DNA on the sheath, which is an argument she never made. She never fucking said that. She never implied that, but Judge Hippler interpreted that. And she should have dug her heels in and said, Your Honor, that's exactly not what I'm saying. And I have no idea why you're saying that, Your Honor. There's nothing in my motion that claims Brian has a constitutional protection for the DNA on the sheet that they claim belongs to him. It's ridiculous. I don't know how we got here, but that is not my argument, Your Honor. Even if she's going to be held in contempt. That was not her argument. Her argument was that the results of that sample given to the FBI, who then took it and ran it through databases to which they're prohibited, is where the constitutional his rights were violated. The fact that you possess it is fine. The fact that you discovered it is fine. But the fact that you had to step outside the bounds of law enforcement's own guidelines and in violation of the website's fucking statements to the public that your DNA will not be shared to law enforcement without a proper warrant. That gives you the expectation of privacy. So the FBI went through a third party and went in through a back fucking door to get into these databases without a warrant. Therefore, whatever result that was provided, which in fact was exactly how they came to Brian's name, that's the fucking violation of the Fourth Amendment right there. Not that they fucking took it from the sheath, not that they tested it, not that they ran it through legal fucking processes and legal fucking IgG databases. That's not a problem. Those databases netted nothing. When the FBI stepped in, that's where the violation of the Fourth Amendment is. She didn't, man, if I'd have had to, I'd have jumped over the fucking desk and choked the judge. Are you that fucking stupid to think that I would make that kind of a statement? That DNA found in a scene is protected by the constitutional right of the person it belongs to? What kind of an asshole do you take me for, Mr. Judge Hippler? That's what I mean. I don't really think Ann has got that kind of fight in her. And I think part of that reason is because she's got to work with these people every day of her life for the rest of her life, whether he's convicted or not. Okay? What do you think there, Luce? Old Friday going off, right? Man, I would not have let that fucking argument go. There's no way Judge Hippler would have said that was what I was arguing. There's no way on earth that I would have allowed that argument to stand and be left in that court that way. That Judge Hippler would have got a piece of old Sarge's fucking mind. She tiptoes. That's a good explanation. What did Mitch Girl said? Big issue with this case is the perp going into the house with just a knife and 3 or 4 vehicles out front, some of which weren't. Look at him, did he? There were actually 5 vehicles out front, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right. But look, that's under the that is a big issue. But everything in this case is an issue. How the case was executed to come to him as a suspect is an issue. The evidence that they're trying to convince the public proves his guilt is an issue because none of it does. And the fact that you got transfer DNA in a crime scene that was never set up to be investigated on the microscopic level. Let's be very honest about the crime scene investigation. When you got some woman sneezing into her fucking arm while she's swabbing fucking parts in the house, people walking in and out of the house with jeans and fucking windbreakers. Transfer DNA, okay? Every single person who was at that house, that's the problem with defending yourself. You don't have an infinite amount of resources, and because you're locked up, you can't go check. But there's a serious likelihood that every one of those investigators, amongst all of the people that went in that house, that either they or someone that they're intimately connected with, and that means workplace connection, love connection, a parenting connection, a work fucking connection, had contact with Brian Kohlberger. Remember, we're only separated by 6 degrees, and Brian is in, and Brian has applied to work for the police. Brian is in, the field that would put him in contact with the police. He's teaching people that are both live there and locally and come from around the country. And those that are locally live with some of these people that may in fact have law enforcement in their family. My point is, the daisy chain and the potential of transfer DNA getting into the crime scene is extraordinarily high because they didn't go in with hazmat suits until later, after the fucking crime scene had been swamped by all the other assholes. Which one of them were carrying transfer DNA that potentially came from Brian? How about the person that swabbed the fucking knife? We don't even know who that is. Now we know the swab was never given to anybody. The results of the swab in a written form were given to the fucking labs. Why weren't the labs the ones doing the work on the DNA that you then eventually trusted to do IgG work? Who swabbed the sheath? Is the sheath made of brass? Is the button made of brass or stainless steel? We still don't know that. Knowing that brass degrades DNA in 4 hours. It's dead. It's useless. It's unidentifiable in 4 hours. No matter what. Brass destroys DNA. Okay? Period. End of story. There's no fine line for that or ambiguity to that. That's a scientific fact. What was the button snap made of? These things Ann let go. I don't know why. You see, Ann is okay. Don't get me wrong. She's the best we got, the best he's got. But man. Meanwhile, they drained her time and money defending herself when it wasn't that simple to prove that the light was intact. I don't know what you're talking about, that the light was intact. You know, all these guilters running around saying the only light in the fucking house was that sign that said, well, the good time sign. Really? When she peeked out the door, how is it he did this? You guys, I don't know if you guys, I got a memory like a steel fucking trap. And these guilters coming around arguing. Well, there was, he couldn't have seen her. Really? The good time sign. It would have obscured his blah, 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 blah. And she said she looked right in his fucking eyes. He looked right at her. Huh. Dylan just told you guilty. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. Additionally, Dylan tells us, I looked down the hallway and I saw Zaina on the floor with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. So clearly there must have been more illumination there. They're arguing that he came out of Zaina's dark bedroom and got blinded by the fucking good time sign. He would not have seen her. people like Jeff and these other guilters like the drunk fucking turkey making up all these fucking stories with no facts. Unbelievable. Yeah, Thomas, the laws were violated. Let me explain to you how the laws were violated. Go look up what the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution says the government shall not do. Let's remember, you're not given rights by that document. That document is telling the government these things you shall not do. Okay? The Fourth Amendment states that anywhere any reasonable person can expect privacy, privacy shall be protected. And they explain, well, and this is the best one, when you're in your home, that entrance by a government official of any kind requires a warrant because you have the expectation of privacy. They've also ruled recently that even the interior of your vehicle, that even a dog sniffing dog that smells marijuana, the expectation of privacy within the confines of your vehicle is also protected by law. Okay? So in this particular instance, the website that I joined, 23andMe or Heritage, told me that my data will not be shared or sifted through by law enforcement without the proper processes of a warrant. Therefore, in those websites, my expectation of privacy is sacrosanct as if I was sitting in my fucking living room. You see, that's all it takes is the expectation of privacy from a reasonable perspective. Those websites gave me and everyone else there the reasonable safety that law enforcement would not filter through their databases looking for criminals or looking for anything for any reason without a warrant. Because that's in a user agreement, my DNA at 23andMe is as protected as I am in my home from government search and seizure. So that's where the crime was committed. I know the FBI is saying, oh, we only violated a geo. No, sir, no. That's the fucking what they want you to pay attention to. Yes, they violated the DOJ policy, but it's just a policy. However, the policy exists because of the Fourth Amendment. You understand? The DOJ wouldn't even write a policy like that unless those websites were telling their users, you get it? I know you get it. That case needs to be brought to the Supreme Court. That issue of privacy. It's just, I don't know. Did I make an argument that what the FBI did went way beyond a DOJ policy violation? Listen, when the FBI goes into a database specifically to search their records for a match to a potential suspect involved in a crime, all right, they need a warrant to search through their database. There's no ambiguity there. Okay? It's not that 23andMe was under no legal obligation to turn it over. It's that they went in there under no pretense that they were law enforcement. And 23andMe, if they violate their user agreement and they turn my shit over willingly without any warrant, now I have a lawsuit against them. But this is not what happened here. They didn't approach these companies and ask for cooperation. They backdoored their way in. And they handled that sample as if they were just an average person looking for whatever the fuck they were looking for with their own DNA sample. That's wrong. That's the policy they violated. But the policy exists because of your reasonable expectation of privacy exists within the bounds of the website's user agreement. That's the argument you would make in front of a Supreme Court or any court. And I can't even imagine how you could lose that. This isn't my opinion. This is the user agreement that I agreed to. And the FBI ignored that user agreement and went in there. And here's the kicker. Had they never gained access to those websites, they never would have came up with the name Koberger. Let's be real. Had they never went into those websites, they never would have came up with Koberger's name. We know that to be true because Othram Labs used databases that completely and openly cooperate with the police and the FBI and the government. None of those databases gave them a hit to Kohlberger. None of them. And yes, Ann Taylor said it only cost $12. Law enforcement with a warrant to get access is $500. Now, there's litigation connected to this case that goes beyond whether he's innocent or guilty. And this is another argument. This is something I'm gonna now throw this out. This is a long ago argument, but the reason the DNA sample doubled between Othram and the FBI is exactly because of HIPAA. You see, Othram did not use any medical derived information from the sample that they had. The FBI did. So there's also a violation of HIPAA in the process they took to come to the name Brian Kohlberger. They came to the name Brian Kohlberger and prohibited databases by the database's use agreement to their end user. And they actually doubled the size of the sample simply because they included all of the medical parameters that were available to them that they're not supposed to use because of HIPAA. You see? That whole fucking shenanigans. And Ann Taylor agreed. I don't know why Ann Taylor agreed, but I wouldn't have agreed. You have to disbar me and put me in prison, Your Honor. How they came to my client needs to be made clear, both to the jury, but more importantly to the public under the process of the prosecution of my client, because this is the person you did it to. And whether he's guilty or innocent is not relevant. The actions and the behavior and the decisions made by the officials need to be public. You see? I never would have accepted that you're going to call that a tip. Yeah. Yeah. See, I probably should take the bar and become a lawyer. Because even if I'm wrong, I put up a good enough fight that might sway a fucking jury. What say you in the chat room? Do I make good enough arguments even if I'm wrong? They just sound so convincing that you got to go along with me. 1 or 2. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Holy shit, man. I know just enough law to be dangerous. And I'm proud of myself. Man, I swear to God, this slow charger does not work on I need a new phone. I need 2 new phones. I have 2 cell phones. One of them, the battery is just beat down, man. If you use the phone for more than 30 or 45 seconds, it turns off. The other one is just old. And it's going to get to that point. It's probably, I don't know, when was the first time they came out with a Motorola Z4? One all the way. Thank you, Anna Rodriguez. Thank you there, Kara. Blackwoods beats and outlaw rhythms. Yeah, some people do just have that knack about it. I'm able to, and I think I make shit simple enough, and that's one of the reasons why it makes more sense, right? They had no right going into those databases. Don't give me that bullshit you violated a policy and kind of rub it off. No, because the FBI and any law enforcement agency didn't identify themselves as such when they went into that database. See, that's where you're not realizing. They backdoored their way in. They didn't backdoor their way by getting in cahoots with 23andMe. So it's not 23andMe's failure. The FBI with intent went around and got into the database without disclosing their presence and their intent. That is a violation of the 4th Amendment of the United States. See that? I don't know. You're putting up a good, listen, Thomas, I can't tell you enough that I totally appreciate your pushback. Unfortunately, you're trying to push something that's coming downhill at you, and you're going to be run over, bro. You need to step off, let it pass you by, because this train's in motion, bro. But you're making good counterpoints, but She's already practicing for, well, yeah, that's where that filibustering and that stuff starts when you're young. But I'm just saying there, what do you got there, Thomas? Come on. Hit me again. Or bow out. I mean, either way. No. 23andMe has to take you at the face value to which you approach them as a business. Okay? I contract business, and if somebody pays me that turns out to be in some crime cartel or part of a criminal conspiracy or just an up and up criminal, and they transact business with me, it's not my duty as a businessman to do research on my clients. I mean, what's that all about? No, those are the user agreements that they're made, that they're saying, and law enforcement is to abide by that. No, it's not civil. Yeah, I agree with you there, Mittens for Kittens. It's not civil. That's a violation of constitutional protection. See, those aren't rights that you're granted. Those are guardrails the government shall not cross. There you go. See, Biff is telling you. They uploaded his sample as a consumer, not as law enforcement. They duped. No, I just love the banter back and forth. I'm glad because you gave sufficient, poignant, accurate arguments to test my argument. And I'm happy that we did that. It was very fun. I mean, I think that you yourself would hit number one. Who won that exchange? Sarge or Thomas? Sarge 1, Thomas 2. Right? I think yourself, Thomas, you'll agree with 1. I'm going to put 1 in. I think the argument I presented won. And that's the argument that needs to be presented to a superior court. Look, come on, Becky, Becky. You can hit 1. You don't got to put in laugh out loud. You guys can pat me on the back when I earned it. Biff. There's old Biff. 1s or 2s. Sarge or Thomas. Who carried the day in that argument about the Fourth Amendment protection? Was 23andMe inefficient in protecting their members? Or did the FBI go around the fucking corner and come in through the back door without announcing themselves? See that? Even Becky can do it as much as she'd rather not. There you go. I didn't hear what 1 was for. 1 was for Sarge, carried the day, and 2, Thomas carried the day. One of us carried the day as far as the best argument. Didn't hear what 1 was for. I'm always number 1. I'm going to say it again, number 1. Thomas is going to abstain. Come on, Thomas. If you'd have won, I would have given you the 2. I really would have. Even Biff gave me a 1, didn't she? Biff, did you vote? Come on, Biff. What the hell time is it? Yeah, I got to get my ass out of here, man. I got to go back out, check the pool. Where are you, Biff? Come on. 1 or 2, Biff. I think Biff has to agree with me. But nothing. It takes like 20 minutes to get a reply. By the time Biff is ready to reply, we'll all be in bed. Where are you, Biff? Come on, Biff. Miss Potts would go with number 1. Lana would have went with number 1. Biff would go with number 1 too. She says she voted for me. That wasn't an option. Hey, I'm limited to the number of words I can write. You're not. Oh, you're welcome to join the stream. I'm so glad you said that, Thomas. Look at this defense. Look, what is your name? Bill Thompson? Is that you? We're gonna call you Bill from now on. Huh, what up, Bill? Glad you joined the stream, Bill. Oh my God. Good God there, Bill. You're limited to the number of words I can write, but I don't know. You got a guy in a stream that keeps posting something like, I don't know, something exactly like that fucking link. Bill. Come on, Bill. You got to limit yourself to typing. No, you can't use that shit as a defense. Who do you think you are? You think we're in Idaho right now, son? Come on now. This ain't no court of law, Idaho. My name ain't Hitler. That was the worst comment you could have made, man. Revenge is sweet, isn't it? I don't know about revenge. I don't know. I don't know. I get a fancy when I'm right. I love being right, but I don't mind being wrong, just so you know. Matter of fact, sometimes I love being wrong more than I love being right. It all comes down to the context. But you know, you can't have a guy posting this 50 fucking times, telling people, come on up. And then the argument of the dying arguer is, hey, I'm limited to a number of words I can write. You're not. Oh my God. I think we're going to end the stream on that one. That was the best foolish fucking comeback of all times. Oh my God. Bill and Biff went to Idaho. Oh, this shit was awesome. Yeah, I do got to jump down, folks. It's been almost a 3-hour fucking stream. So now remember, Thomas is Biff or Bill, and Heather or Lucy is Biff. So we have new nicknames for people in the stream. Bill and Biff. Until next time, you all be good or be bad. But if you're going to be bad, don't get caught. Have a good night, good weekend, and enjoy your Sunday. We'll talk to you again.